Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a very special episode of Gems Talk. Today we have a guest who needs no introduction. The man, the myth, the legend, William Shakespeare. Welcome, Mr. Shakespeare. It's an honor to have you on our show.
It's an honor to be here.
Well, let's get right into it.
Okay.
Your plays are known for their brilliant dialogues and wit. What inspired you to write such masterpieces?
Well, I was always fascinated by how people interacted with each other, and I drew inspiration from mythology and historical events so I could explore timeless themes like power, love, betrayal, and revenge.
Power, love, betrayal, and revenge are indeed timeless themes that will resonate with the people throughout the countries, throughout the generations, in fact.
Yeah.
Your readers have noticed that you are a little obsessed with tragedy and tragic heroes. Why is that?
I think a little is an understatement, but tragedy is a powerful tool for exploring the darker side of human nature. It allows us to conquer our deepest fears and deepest desires and makes us understand that our actions have consequences. All my heroes had a fatal flaw, like their pride or their ambition, and my plays intend to evoke strong emotional releases or a sense of catharsis. In many ways, tragedy is the reflection of the human experience itself, full of joy, full of sorrow, and everything in between.
That's a very insightful perspective. Let me ask you about your character.
Okay.
You have created some of the most iconic figures in literature. Romeo, Othello, Hamlet, Macbeth, just to name a few. So how do you go about developing them?
Well, all my characters are multidimensional and complex, with their own strengths, their own weaknesses, their motivations, and their own flaws. I try to create characteristics that are relatable and dynamic so the audience can see themselves in them. And I love playing with expectations just to subvert them and create something brand new.
I've noticed that, actually.
Yeah.
In grade 10, I read Merchant of Venice. It was in my syllabus. And I liked the play a lot.
That's great to hear.
But what I didn't quite understand is that you can neither call it a tragedy nor a comedy in the truest sense. So what do you call such a play?
That is a great question. But if I'm going to be very honest with you, I was playing with all of you guys. But let's say it's a tragic comedy or a dark comedy because of the fatal bond signed by Antonio. Everybody thought that he would bleed to death.
Right, but Portia saved him, thankfully.
Exactly.
All the heroines in your comedies are so bold, beautiful, and alluring.
That's quite right. I wrote in such a way that my heroes in my tragedies were mighty and malevolent, while the heroines in my comedies were brave and beautiful.
Well, to create a balance, I assume?
Yes.
Okay. Now let me ask you about your legacy. Your plays have been performed for over 400 years and are still beloved today, even by the students. What do you think makes them so enduring?
I think it's because they have universal truth, whether it's betrayal, love, or jealousy. These will always resonate with the people in any time period. And the English language itself has a sense of richness and musicality that cannot be replicated.
I agree. Actually, I've come to appreciate the language a lot because of you.
That's great.
One last question for you, sir. What is the difference between a Petrarchan sonnet and your sonnets? And if I may, whom were they dedicated to?
Well, my sonnets have 3 quatrains and a couplet, while Petrarchan sonnets have an octave and sestet.
Okay.
And I'm pretty sure you know already who my sonnets were dedicated to, but they were dedicated to my muse.
I see. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Mr. Shakespeare. It's been a pleasure to hear your thoughts on your work.
Well, I did get time traveled, so it's a pleasure to be here.
I'm sure that's a fantastic story, which I would like to hear all about the next time you time travel.
I'm not so sure about that, but yes, I will write about this one.
You probably should.
Remember, all the world's a stage, and we are merely players.
Rightly said. And with that, we come to the end of this episode. This is Mopia Chatterjee, your host, signing off. Until next time.